He asked her to pretend as his wife for one day, but she didn't know the cost. The cameras were everywhere, flashing, recording, capturing every angle of Lena Morrison's face as she stood frozen in the marble lobby of the Grandview Hotel, her hand still wrapped around a stranger's arm, wearing a ring that didn't belong to her. A woman in an expensive suit pointed directly at her, voice cutting through the murmur of the crowd like a blade.
You're not his
You're
wife.
not his wife.
I know
you're not his wife.
So
who the hell are you? Lena's throat closed. Her mind raced backward to 18 hours earlier, to the moment she'd said yes to something that seemed simple, harmless, survivable. One day. He'd promised it would only be one day. She looked up at the man beside her, the man she was supposed to be married to, and saw his jaw tighten with something that looked like regret or calculation or both. His fingers squeezed her hand once, a silent message she couldn't decode. Stay. Run. Trust me. She didn't know anymore. The woman in the suit stepped closer, her heels clicking against marble like a countdown. I asked you a question. Who are you? If Lena walked away now, she'd lose everything. But if she stayed, she didn't know what it would cost her. 24 hours earlier, Lena had been standing in the break room of Meyer and Associates, staring at her phone with the kind of dread that made her hands shake. The email was from her landlord. Final notice. 3 months behind on rent. Eviction proceedings would begin in 7 days unless she paid $4,000 she absolutely did not have. Her mother's medical bills had eaten through her savings like acid. Her job as a junior paralegal paid just enough to survive, but never enough to get ahead. And now she was about to lose the tiny studio apartment that had been her only stable thing in a year of instability. You look like you're about to be sick. The voice came from behind her, male, concerned, unfamiliar. Lena turned to find a man she'd never seen before leaning against the doorframe. He was tall, maybe mid-30s, with dark hair that looked expensive to maintain and a suit that definitely was. His eyes were sharp but not unkind, assessing her the way someone might assess a painting they were considering buying. I'm fine, Lena lied, shoving her phone into her pocket. Can I help you with something? Actually, I was hoping I could help you. He stepped into the break room, closing the door behind him with a soft click that made the space feel suddenly smaller. My name is Adrian Cross. I'm a client here. Corporate acquisitions. I've been in meetings with your firm for the past 3 days. Lena vaguely remembered seeing his name on case files. Big money. Complicated deals. The kind of client the senior partners fawned over. Okay, what does that have to do with me? Adrian pulled out his phone, scrolled briefly, then held it up to show her a photograph. It was Lena, taken from across the office, talking to a receptionist. She looked professional, composed, nothing like the panicked mess she felt like right now. I've been watching you. That sounds creepier than I mean it to. What I mean is, I've noticed you're good at your job. You're calm under pressure. You don't gossip in the halls. You handle difficult people with grace. He paused. And right now, you look desperate. Which is perfect, because I need someone desperate enough to say yes to something unusual. Every alarm in Lena's head started screaming. I'm not interested in whatever this is. I'll pay you $10,000 for 1 day of your time. Lena's hand, reaching for the door, stopped mid-motion. What? $10,000. Cash, if you prefer, though a check would be cleaner for tax purposes. Adrian pocketed his phone, his expression neutral like they were discussing weather. In exchange, you pretend to be my wife for approximately 12 hours. One event. 1 day. Then we part ways and never speak again. Lena's mind stuttered over the words. You want to pay me $10,000 to pretend to be your wife? Yes. That's insane. That's business. Adrian checked his watch. I have a family obligation tomorrow. A trust fund matter that requires me to be married to access certain assets. My actual marriage recently ended badly, and I need someone who can play the role convincingly for 1 day while lawyers and family members are present. You'd be doing me an enormous favor, and I'd be solving your financial emergency. I assume that email you were reading wasn't good news. Lena's face flushed with anger and embarrassment. You don't know anything about me. I know you're drowning. I know you're too proud to ask for help. I know $10,000 would change your immediate situation. He pulled a business card from his pocket, holding it out to her. I'm not asking you to do anything illegal or unethical beyond a simple lie. No physical intimacy. No long-term commitment. Just stand beside me, smile when appropriate, and let me introduce you as my wife. 12 hours, Lena. That's all I need. She should have said no. Should have walked away from the stranger with too much money and too few boundaries. But her landlord's email burned in her pocket like a coal, and her mother's medical bills were stacking up faster than she could count. And $10,000 was more than she'd see in months of working herself to exhaustion at a job that barely noticed she existed. What kind of family obligation? Lena heard herself ask. Adrian's expression shifted, something like relief flickering across his features. My grandfather is dying. His trust stipulates that inheritance is distributed based on marital status and perceived stability. If I'm unmarried, the money goes to my cousin, who will immediately liquidate family assets I've spent years trying to preserve. If I'm married, I inherit and can protect what my grandfather built. He met her eyes. It's manipulative and old-fashioned, and I hate that it matters. But it does. So you're asking me to lie to your dying grandfather? I'm asking you to help me save my family's legacy. Adrian's voice hardened slightly. And to save your own housing situation in the process. We both get what we need. No one gets hurt. Lena looked at the business card in her hand. Adrian Cross, CEO, Cross Industries. A Manhattan address that probably cost more per month than she made in a year. If I say yes, what exactly would I have to do? Attend a family brunch tomorrow at the Grandview Hotel. Meet my grandfather, my aunt, my cousin, and the family lawyers. Answer basic questions about our relationship. Stay by my side. Wear a ring I'll provide. Look like you care about me. He paused. The event lasts from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. 6 hours maximum. Then I'll drive you home, pay you in full, and we never contact each other again. And if someone figures out we're lying, they won't. You'll be prepared. We'll create a story tonight. I'll brief you on family dynamics. You're smart enough to pull this off. Adrian checked his watch again. I need an answer in the next 2 minutes. After that, I'll find someone else. Lena's hands were shaking. This was crazy. This was dangerous. This was exactly the kind of decision that ruined lives in ways you couldn't predict. But $4,000 would save her apartment. The remaining $6,000 would cover her mother's bills and leave her with a buffer for the first time in a year. One day, 12 hours of pretending. Then freedom. Yes, Lena whispered. I'll do it. Adrian smiled, and for the first time, Lena wondered if she'd just made a deal with someone who was far more dangerous than he appeared. They met that evening in Adrian's penthouse apartment, a space so expensive and cold that Lena felt like she was standing in a museum. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked Manhattan, the city glittering below them like scattered diamonds. Adrian had changed into casual clothes, jeans and a black sweater that made him look younger, less corporate, more human. He poured her wine she didn't drink and sat across from her with a leather folder full of documents. First, the basics. Adrian slid a photograph across the glass coffee table. This is my grandfather, William Cross. 84 years old. Built Cross Industries from nothing. Traditional values, old-school masculinity, believes marriage equals stability. He's been asking about my personal life for months. When I told him I got married, he was thrilled. When I told him my wife and I separated, he changed his will. So you lied to him about being married? I told him I was married 6 months ago. Which was true. Then my wife left me for her personal trainer, and I've been stalling ever since. Adrian pulled out another photograph. This is my cousin, Derek. He'll inherit everything if I show up tomorrow unmarried. He's charming, ambitious, and has been waiting for me to fail since we were children. He will test you. He will try to catch us in a lie. You need to be prepared. Lena studied Derek's photograph. He had Adrian's sharp features, but with something meaner around the eyes. What kind of tests? Personal questions. Details about our relationship. How we met. Where we got married. What I'm like as a husband. Adrian pulled out a ring box, opening it to reveal a simple gold band with a small diamond. You'll wear this. I'll wear a matching one. We met 2 years ago at a charity gala. We dated quietly because I value privacy. We married in a small ceremony in the Hamptons 8 months ago. We're private people who don't broadcast our relationship. And your actual ex-wife? What if someone mentions her? They won't. The family doesn't know details about my personal life. I've kept things vague intentionally. Adrian leaned forward, his expression intense. Lena, I need you to understand something. My family is complicated. Wealthy families always are. There will be lawyers present tomorrow evaluating whether our marriage appears legitimate. They'll be looking for cracks. You have to sell this completely. Can you do that? Lena took the ring from the box, feeling its weight in her palm. It felt real. Heavy. Significant. You said no physical intimacy. But married people touch each other. Hold hands. Kiss. We'll hold hands. Brief touches. Nothing more unless absolutely necessary, and only with your explicit consent in the moment. Adrian's voice softened. I'm not going to force you into anything uncomfortable, but we need to appear comfortable with each other. Familiar. Like we've been married long enough that the newness has worn off, but the affection remains. They spent 3 hours building their fictional relationship. How Adrian proposed on a beach at sunset. How Lena loved his rare moments of vulnerability. How they'd agreed to keep the marriage quiet until Adrian's business stabilized. Every detail was crafted, rehearsed, reinforced. By the time Lena left his apartment at midnight, she almost believed the story herself. The Grandview Hotel was old money and new excess, a building that screamed wealth so loudly it didn't need to say anything at all. Lena arrived at 9:30, wearing a dress Adrian had sent to her apartment that morning, navy blue and elegant and far nicer than anything she'd ever owned. The ring felt strange on her finger, too tight and too permanent. Adrian met her in the lobby, looking nervous for the first time since she'd met him. You look perfect, he said quietly, taking her hand. His palm was warm, slightly damp. He was actually nervous. Remember, stay close to me. Let me lead conversations. If you don't know how to answer something, deflect with humor or affection. Married people do that. Adrian, It's going to be fine. He squeezed her hand. 6 hours. Then this is over. The brunch was held in a private room overlooking the hotel's gardens. William Cross sat at the head of the table in a wheelchair, oxygen tubes in his nose, eyes still sharp despite his failing body. He smiled when he saw Adrian, then looked at Lena with naked curiosity. So this is the woman who finally tamed my grandson. Grandfather, this is Lena. Adrian's hand moved to the small of her back, warm and grounding. My wife. The word sent an electric shock through Lena's system. My wife. Like it was true. Like she belonged to him. Come here, girl. William gestured her closer. Let me see you properly. Lena approached, Adrian beside her, feeling like she was walking into an exam she hadn't studied for. William took her hand in his weathered one, studying her face with an intensity that made her want to confess everything. You're nervous. Family gatherings make me nervous, Lena admitted, which wasn't entirely a lie. Good. Shows you care. William smiled. Adrian never brought women to meet me. Said he was too busy building the company to waste time on romance. I told him a man without a family is just a man waiting to die alone. He looked at his grandson. You did well, boy. She's got kind eyes. Lena felt something crack inside her chest. This wasn't just a business transaction. This was a dying man being lied to by his own family. She opened her mouth to say something, she didn't know what, but Adrian's fingers tightened on her back in warning. Let's eat, Adrian said smoothly. Grandfather needs his strength. The meal was a minefield. Derek sat across from them, watching every interaction with suspicious eyes. The lawyers took notes on tablets, documenting everything. Adrian's Aunt Martha asked invasive questions about their wedding, about their home life, about their future plans for children. Adrian answered most of them, his hand never leaving Lena's, his lies rolling off his tongue with practiced ease. Tell us, Lena, Derek said suddenly, his smile sharp as broken glass. What's it like being married to someone as controlling as Adrian? The table went silent. Lena felt Adrian tense beside her, but she forced herself to smile. He's not controlling. He's protective. There's a difference. And I need protecting sometimes. I'm not always great at it myself. How romantic, Derek drawled. And where did you two meet again? A charity gala, Lena repeated the practice line. 2 years ago. Adrian spilled champagne on my dress and spent the next hour apologizing. I thought he was unbearably formal. He thought I was laughing at him. We were both wrong. Something flickered in Adrian's eyes when she said it, something real beneath the performance. I was formal. You were laughing at me. You deserved it. You apologized 17 times. I wanted to make a good impression. You made a memorable one. Memorable and formal are different things. Lena leaned into him slightly, and Adrian's arm came around her shoulders automatically, like they'd done this 1,000 times. The lie was becoming muscle memory. William laughed, a wet, rattling sound. She's good for you, Adrian. She doesn't let you take yourself too seriously. He looked at the lawyers. Document this. My grandson is married to a woman who makes him human. That's worth preserving. The lawyers typed. Derek's jaw tightened. And Lena felt the trap closing around her without understanding its full shape yet. The meal ended. William was taken to rest. The lawyers disappeared into a side room. Adrian's aunt cornered Lena in the hallway while Adrian spoke with his grandfather privately, and her smile didn't reach her calculating eyes. You know, dear, Adrian has always been very private about his relationships. Some might say secretively so. He values privacy, Lena said carefully. So do I. Of course. But there's private and then there's hidden. Martha leaned closer. I looked you up this morning. Lena Morrison. Junior paralegal at Meyer and Associates. No social media presence. No photos with Adrian. No record of a marriage license in New York. Her voice dropped. Want to tell me what's really going on? Lena's heart stopped. Her mind raced through explanations, excuses, anything that would make this make sense. We got married in the Hamptons. That's a different county. Different records. Is it? Martha's smile widened. Because I have a friend who does private investigations. And she found your eviction notice. Funny thing to have when you're married to a millionaire, don't you think? Before Lena could respond, Adrian appeared, his expression dark. Aunt Martha. Lovely to see you. We need to go. Already? The lawyers wanted to speak with Lena. No. Adrian's hand found Lena's, pulling her toward the elevator. Lena isn't feeling well. We're leaving. They made it to the parking garage before Lena jerked her hand free. She knows. Your aunt knows we're lying. She hired an investigator. Adrian, she found my eviction notice. I know. I saw her on the phone earlier. I should have anticipated this. Adrian ran his hands through his hair, the first crack in his controlled facade. I'm sorry. I thought we had more time. More time? You said one day. You said this would be over in 12 hours and no one would get hurt. Lena's voice echoed off concrete. Your aunt is going to tell your grandfather. She's going to tell the lawyers. I'm going to be exposed as a fraud. You're not a fraud. I am. This is my lie. You were just helping. Adrian grabbed her shoulders, forcing her to look at him. Lena, listen to me. I won't let anything happen to you. I'll fix this. How? I don't know yet. But I will. His eyes were intense, desperate, more human than she'd seen him. I promise I will protect you. Your promises don't mean anything. Lena shoved him away. You lied to me. You said one day, no consequences, but your aunt is threatening me, and I'm going to lose my job when this gets back to my firm, and... Adrian kissed her. It wasn't gentle or romantic or anything like the movies. It was desperate and urgent and tasted like fear and something deeper. When he pulled back, both of them breathing hard, his forehead pressed against hers. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. But if you walk away now, everything falls apart. For both of us. What are you talking about? The lawyers. They need to believe we're married for my grandfather's trust to be valid. If they declare our marriage fraudulent, I lose everything. And my aunt will make sure you're investigated for fraud too. She'll ruin you to get to me. Adrian's voice cracked. We're in this together now, whether we want to be or not. Lena felt the trap close completely. You planned this. You knew this would happen. No. I swear I didn't. But we're here now, and we have to decide together how to handle it. He pulled back, his hands framing her face. I'll pay you more. 20,000. 50,000. Whatever you need. Just don't leave. Not yet. This isn't about money anymore, Adrian. Then what is it about? Lena realized she was crying. You made me lie to a dying man. You made me part of something that's going to hurt people. And you did it by taking advantage of how desperate I was. She pulled his hands away from her face. That's not business. That's cruelty. Adrian flinched like she'd struck him. You're right. You're completely right. And I hate myself for it. But Lena, please. Give me 48 hours to fix this. To protect you from the fallout. Then you can walk away and never see me again. I'll triple the money. I'll give you anything you want. I want the truth. Who are you really? Why does this matter so much? Adrian was quiet for so long Lena thought he wouldn't answer. Then he leaned against his car, all his careful control crumbling. 5 years ago, my grandfather gave me control of Cross Industries. My cousin Derek had run it into near bankruptcy. I spent years rebuilding what he destroyed. My marriage fell apart because I prioritized business over my wife. I prioritized everything over people. He looked at her with raw honesty. This inheritance isn't about money. It's about proving I can protect something that matters. That I'm not the selfish bastard everyone thinks I am. And I thought hiring someone to pretend would be simpler than admitting I'm alone because I drove away everyone who cared. Lena's anger softened into something more complicated. That doesn't excuse lying to your grandfather. I know. Or manipulating me. I know. Or dragging me into something that could destroy my life. I know. Adrian pushed off the car, standing in front of her with his hands in his pockets, looking more lost than she'd thought possible. I'm not a good man, Lena. But I'm trying to protect something good. And I need help. Not hired help. Real help. From someone who sees me clearly and still chooses to stay. I don't know you well enough to make that choice. Then get to know me. 48 hours. If you still want to leave after that, I'll pay you everything I promised and make sure my aunt can't touch you. He held out his hand. Please. Lena looked at his outstretched hand, at the ring still on her finger that felt heavier than it had this morning, at the man who'd promised simplicity and delivered chaos. She thought about her mother's medical bills and her eviction notice and the life she'd been living that felt like drowning in slow motion. She thought about William Cross's kind eyes and the way he looked at her like she was saving his grandson. She thought about how Adrian had kissed her in the parking garage, like she was the only real thing in his carefully constructed lie. 48 hours, Lena said finally, taking his hand. But if you lie to me again, I walk. And I take whatever evidence I need to protect myself with me. Deal. They stood in the parking garage, still holding hands, both understanding they'd just agreed to something far more complicated than a business transaction. Somewhere above them, lawyers were documenting a marriage that didn't exist. A dying man was believing in a love that wasn't real. And two strangers were pretending their way into something that felt dangerously close to truth. The next 48 hours would determine what that cost. And whether either of them could afford to pay it. If this story has you hooked, hit that subscribe button right now because the next part is going to change everything. Drop a comment telling me, would you have said yes to Adrian's deal, or would you have walked away? Was Lena right to stay, or is she making the biggest mistake of her life? Your engagement helps this channel grow, and I'll see you in the next video where we find out exactly what Lena's 48 hours will cost her.